You ever wonder why you're not getting traction on the midterm rental insurance side of the house? You've seen people get large contracts. You've maybe entered your property in a database and you haven't heard anything. You're wondering, what am I doing wrong? Why is this not working? Well, there's a few things to factor in. And to even make it easier for you, if I were to do one thing, just this one thing, it would be this. And I'm going to tell you in a second. But first, I want to level set for a second and take you back to the fundamentals of any business and why it's just as prevalent in this model. So we are in the service of providing temporary housing for displaced families who are displaced due to unforeseen events such as floods, water damage, fires, etc. And the way we are able to provide a opportunity for this family to stay in our home is by making sure that we're staying in front of the relocation specialist. Why the relocation specialist? Why not the insurance company? Why not the insurance adjuster? Why not stay in front of the water mitigation companies who are going out treatment after treatment, claim after claim? It's because it's the lowest hanging fruit and they are the ones who do this for a living. And so when you think about going upstream versus downstream, you really want to think about what is the path of least resistance. And the reason why we focus on relocation specialists to begin with is because our paths are aligned as homeowners. If you're a furnished accommodation provider, aka an Airbnb host, aka you have a home with furniture in it, even if you don't have a home with furniture in it, which is not a avenue that we highly engage ourselves in, but it is an avenue that some of these relocation companies, aka insurance companies, would still factor in because they're looking for both furnished and unfurnished accommodations. But for the ones that we focus on and that are the most prevalent, it's furnished housing because it allows the family to move in very quickly and just literally come in with their belongings and nothing else. Now, there are opportunities or situations where they are looking for homes that are vacant and they will use third-party companies that will then furnish the home within 24 to 48 hours. There is such a thing such as Cort, CORT.com. They're a big vendor in the temporary housing space that can provide that to not only these big companies, but also any mom and pop owner that wishes to get a quote from them and move forward, okay? But going back to the fundamental saying of the main reason why you're not getting booked is because of this one thing. And this one thing is one that we see often in business, and it's one thing that usually gives people an edge. And that thing is relationships, right? When you foster a relationship with the person who is going to work to provide such a thing and you become the supply to their demand, there is a mutual benefit where they are compensated based on the number of families they relocate, and you are compensated based on having a family or persons or people in your home and pets. Let's not forget about the pets that you can house, where your goal is to be 100% occupied to increase and maximize the amount of profitability that you can make on your furnished accommodation. Now, the number one reason why you might not be gaining traction is because you haven't gotten a chance to even start the relationship. And in order to start the relationship is making yourselves available. It'd be like someone who's trying to date online, who's maybe not on dating apps, right, where the traffic is going. It'd be like someone who's trying to, in my world, coach people on how they can actually increase their occupancy and they don't have a YouTube channel. This is where people are getting education. This is where the relocation specialists are going. People are going on dating apps because they want to date. Well, at least we hope that that's the reason why they're on those apps. So you have to go where the volume is, but that is only the beginning. Because if I told you that you was to set up an application or even send a job application, how many times have you maybe tried to apply for a job and you had no relationship and you put in your resume and no one called you back? Or you put on maybe you put your profile on there and you didn't really do anything to tweak your profile. You didn't even do anything to reach out and you didn't get anybody to contact you. It's similar to that. Do not expect you to just enter your property in the databases and expect them to just hit you up magically. Now, can it happen? Absolutely. In order to increase your chances, it's important to foster a relationship. And one way to do that is by being in the right databases where they are hanging out, where they are truly actually looking for vetted homeowners who understand how they do business. That's number one. If you're currently getting value from watching this video, you'll want to make sure you take a second and click below to grab the midterm rental insurance blueprint to help accelerate your process in being able to land these midterm rental insurance contracts with respect to your marketplace. Make sure you click the button below and grab it and continue on with the gems in this video. Number 2, then you want to be on the number 1 OT in the world, and that is Airbnb. And even if you say, I have no interest in being on Airbnb, I have no interest in doing Airbnb, you want to go where the traffic is because that is also where they're looking. So the best thing I can tell you to do if you don't want short-term stays, yes, you still have to be on the short-term platform that allows provides a search engine for relocation specialists to look for longer term stays, even on a short term platform. It's so critical for you to be and exist on those platforms to be able to provide the supply to the demand. So if you're in a position where you don't want to host Airbnb, you need to still be on Airbnb, and you can set a minimum to your liking, whether it's a 7-day minimum, 10-day minimum, 14-day minimum, 30-day minimum. The only caveat that I say there, if you're going to do that, keep in mind that is going to be very critical that anytime you increase the amount of occupancy, the amount of minimum days, I should say, that you're lowering your chances of being able to accommodate a family that it could be very well in need. Maybe they're starting with 7 days. I've seen that many times. Maybe they're starting with 7 days and then might need to extend. Maybe they're starting with 14 days, but it is typical, I will say, in our industry that families and relocation specialists are looking for a month and or longer. Okay. So the very least exist on the platforms with the intention of serving them and not Joe Schmo coming next door for a 3-day trip. And you can do that easily by setting a minimum. And now, once you've done that, once you're also on platforms such as Zillow is a big one. That is another way that you can get in front of them. Then you want to then start fostering a relationship by servicing them once. Now, servicing them doesn't even mean you provide a booking in an ideal situation. That is, you get your first booking, you now have a relationship, and you let them know how you can engage, help more families. Maybe it's your only property, maybe you have more than one, but maybe you're being, and not maybe, you should be the most resourceful person on the other side, because their job is to place as many families as possible. So even an introduction can help. Even you might want to contact my realtor, they might be able to help you. All that goes a long way, because then you start getting almost brownie points and tokens for the relationship capital that you're building with them, where they're seeing that you're taking action that isn't anything that you had to do by any means, but you're going out of your way because you care for them, because in a relationship, it is a give and take, and you do not always want to be taking when you're in need of occupancy. You want to be able to give, so that then when you do take, it is a symbiotic, mutual, beneficial relationship that is fostered with the other party on the other side, who is frequently doing business with you or will frequently start doing business with you because you've shown that you have the intention to help them. So the relationship is the key word. It is the one thing that is probably stopping you from getting MTR insurance contracts, and there is a way to build on that. You first need to be in the right places. You first do need to engage. You then can start sending emails. You then can start frequently reaching out for calls and texts. But then, just like a relationship, you want to respect the cadence. You want to respect the method that they want to speak in, how often, what time of the week. Foster the relationship. Make a relocation specialist your best friend, someone on the other side that you can talk to, because it is truly a human being on the other side that's helping another human, and your house is an asset that can host humans. And for that reason, you need to focus on the relationship part of the business, because that, if I had to do one thing, focus on one thing and one thing only, it would be solely that. Removing the Airbnb, removing the databases, I'll focus on a relationship, because as long as someone can think of me first when there is a need, or as long as someone can vouch for me, or at least tell one of their colleagues that they should reach out to me, or at least they know that I'm frequently in need of hosting families, as long as they contact me, as long as their entire company, as long as their entire department, there is no way I will go starving, because I am in alliance to them, and I am a partner, and I am a resource for them, and I am the supply to their demand. And their demand doesn't need to be closing a deal. It can be as easy as being a resource for them that they can count on get insights on, get feedback on, check in with me on, so that when I am ready to take and provide a supply to their demand, it won't only be the icing on the cake and the icing on the cake of a beautiful relationship that continues to give, because these relocation specialists and agencies relocate families for a living, which means you stay more profitable, more occupied, and maximize your revenue and profitability over time and time again. If you got value from this video, make sure you check out the 3 things you need to know about relocation specialists.